Hello everyone, this is Fabio, here again for another episode of our PFL AFL series, where we dive into some of my past and current productions. For today we're going to be taking a look at a song called Hell Awaits by the band Black and White from Brazil, my old and beloved band. This track specifically has had a few versions. If you want to listen to it, it's already on SoundCloud, but this new mix will be released pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. With this episode, we're taking a little bit of a different approach, so I won't be diving into the actual mix session of the song and pulling it up on the console like I did the first time. Today we're just going to look at the raw files in Pro Tools and also the stems and the final print. A cool thing to note about the stems and the final print is when I was mixing this, I always have everything going to the subgroups of my board and coming back in 4 stereo pairs into my interface. And then that comes in pre-mix bus, and then it's summed in the box and then going into my mix bus processing. So it'll be cool for you guys to hear the raw multi-tracks, then what they turned into from all the processing, and what my mix bus is doing to those 4 files after the fact. So yeah, let's dive into it. All right, so here in Pro Tools, as you can see, these are all the actual raw files, and these red ones here are the stems, and then we have the final print. So going into the raw files first, as you can see, the drums are all super clean, abnormally clean actually, but that's because it was programmed. In this case, I was using Addictive Drums 2 and MT Power Drums for the whole programming. There is a few tracks of bass, a whole bunch of tracks of guitars, although the arrangement for guitar was pretty simple and straightforward, just left and right, but I ended up tracking it a few times for each side to get a bit more depth and width and weight, mostly. Then after that, there's some lead vocals and some backing vocals, as well as harmonies, and then some additional sound effects. All right, going into the drums, as you can see, there's a couple of tracks of kick, a few tracks of snares, a few tracks of toms and floors, a few direct hits from the actual cymbals, and an overhead track from Addictive Drums, and then a room sound. For the bass, I have the DI, an amp sim, a Gillian Kruger amp sim, as well as a PV amp sim, just to have like a very gritty sound to add a very gritty sound to the bass. For guitars, there's a whole bunch of tracks here, but I think the coolest thing to note is these guys that are on both sides of the guitars, and that is a trick that I like to do. It's basically creating a very distorted fuzz track, or a couple of very distorted fuzz tracks, to add to the weight of the guitar tone. For that specifically, I just get the DI, run it through this guy here. It's a saturation knob from Softtube, and I basically use this as a preamp stage, going into a power amp emulator, then into a cab sim, and it gives it this very cool sound to the guitars. Check it out. 1 sat knob, 2 sat knobs. Right, now that you've seen those guys, if we go into all of the guitars, you can see how big it sounds. Let's go into the bridge. Also important to know is some of the guitars were actually tracked with a chorus on the way in, So the DI actually has them, which was this guy here. So TC Electronics June 60, which sounds very nice. So after the guitars here on this session, you can see the main vocals. They were recorded by Harry himself with his home setup, and there's some additional backing vocals and harmonies that I ended up doing. And I'll let you guys have a listen to it here on the last chorus.
Yeah, try to shut me down, but now you got a hold on your head. So come on, my friend.
Yeah, basically a wall of sound on the vocals as well. On top of that, there's just a few more effects that I use just to, you know, add a little bit of weight and you know, just kind of like a icing on the cake type thing for the guitars. For example, I have a couple of piano tracks that are just underneath the guitars, making it a little bit heavier. You can give it a listen. And the funny thing is, these guys, on the mix, you barely even hear them. They're just there to, you know, push the guitars forward a little bit more. Also, there's a bass synth that comes in on the last chorus. There's a few 808 hits, again on the downbeats and entrances of choruses, just to, you know, push it a little bit harder. This guy was kind of funny. It's a snare sample that I put in there that has a nasty ring to it, and I would most likely never use it for anything properly, except for on this case, it added like a little bit of an industrial vibe to this section of the song, as the bridge before the chorus, and I thought it was really cool, so I just kept it there and actually boosted the ringing in it to make it even more apparent. And then that's pretty much all the raw tracks. I'll let you have a listen to what they sound like. Now we can dive into the stems. So again, these are the returns from my console before any mix bus processing. And you can see this is already almost the final mix. The multitrack. And now off to the final print. So you can hear the difference from the stems to the mix bus. These are the stems. And that is it for this session. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, this is Hell Awaits from Black and White, and it will be out pretty soon, so keep an eye for that. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.